Now, when you look at Buddhism, then there's a real message of the Buddha. No? There's a message Buddha specifically taught to the world. So, could you please clarify about that factor?
Yes, Bhante. So, as you heard from my friend Bhante, Buddha had the three knowledges. So he had the knowledge to see the past life of all other beings, and he had the knowledge, the divine eye, to see uh, how beings pass away and are reborn in different worlds, and he realized the true nature of the samsara, the cycle of rebirth, and the beings have to travel in this samsara, and the beings have all beings have defilements: greed, hatred, and delusion. Okay, so because of this greed, hatred, and delusion, what happens is there's a tendency in all beings to seek pleasure in things they see: forms, sounds, and odors, smells, and tastes, and touch. So the beings seek happiness and pleasure in these material things, and when they do that, they do it with craving, attachment, and desire. So with desire, they seek pleasure, and when they do that, most of the beings in the sense humans and animals and all beings in general, so they practice, uh, they try to cultivate unwholesome things: greed, hatred, and delusion, when they seek pleasure. So the problem with greed, hatred, and delusion is they when they seek pleasure, uh, having greed, hatred, and delusion in their mind, they would do misdeeds, bad actions with their body, speech, and mind. So that's why we see murder, killing, and stealing, and sexual misconduct, and lying, and all these unwholesome actions are there in this world because of greed, hatred, and delusion. So beings seek happiness and pleasure, having greed, hatred, and delusion in their minds. So they tend to do bad actions. As a result, uh, Buddha saw that with his divine eye and with his knowledge, the first knowledge to see past life of all beings, that when somebody does an action with their body, speech, and mind, there will be a future result. So if a being does a good action, there will be a good result in the future. If that's a bad action, the result will be a bad result, unpleasant result. So because of this nature, this phenomenon in the lives of the beings, uh, beings are reborn in other worlds according to their actions. So when a being dies, uh, when any being dies, at that moment, uh, that being's internal defilements are not extinguished. It's still there. The internal fire is still there. Greed and hatred and delusion and hope and all these desire and fear. So all these internal unwholesome things, unwholesome qualities are there in all beings when they die, and because of that reason, they will continue to exist in a future world, future existence. So Buddha saw that there's something as a phenomenon in the world as rebirth because of all the defilements. So because of that, Buddha's message to the beings is, there's one stanza. It says, "Do not do evil actions, not to do all evil actions, and cultivate wholesome qualities, and purify your own mind." So this is the message of the Buddha. So if a being purifies his mind, not doing evil things, and cultivating wholesome qualities in the mind like loving kindness and generosity and mindfulness and concentration, wisdom, so these wholesome qualities, that being will be able to purify the mind, and escape from this cycle of rebirth. escape from craving. So Buddha explained that there is something called suffering in this world. So, so there are religions in this world, different religions, because there is something called suffering. If there is no such thing as suffering, there won't be a religion. Because of suffering, people tend to seek refuge from some religion or a doctrine, and they seek help and refuge. So this is the reason why there's a religion. So Buddha explained what suffering is. The suffering is birth, old age, sickness, and death, and it continues to exist. So he first explained suffering, and then he explained the cause of suffering. Cause of suffering is desire and craving. So that is actually the noble truths. The first noble truth is the noble truth of suffering. Second noble truth is the cause of suffering, that is craving. Third noble truth Buddha explained is if one uproot craving, he will be free from suffering. He will escape suffering. And the fourth noble truth he taught is the path, the noble path to follow to eradicate craving, so that that being will be able to escape from suffering and escape the cycle of rebirth. So the real message of the Buddha is to avoid doing all evil things and cultivate wholesome action, wholesome things in the mind, and purify the mind from all the defilements and reach enlightenment.